You wake up, go to work, come home, sleep, and do it again for 40 years and call it a life. But for 95% of human history, nobody had a job, nobody had a boss, nobody had a Monday morning. And the question that anthropologists have spent decades trying to answer is, what did they actually do with all that time? The answer will make you question everything you have been told about productivity, purpose, and what it actually means to be human. Because studies of modern hunter-gatherer tribes, the closest living window into our ancient past, revealed something nobody expected. Ancient humans worked far less than we do and were arguably far more fulfilled doing it. In the 1960s, anthropologist Marshall Solins studied hunter-gatherer societies and published findings that shocked the academic world. Hunter-gatherers spent only 3 to 5 hours per day on what we would call work. Not 8 hours, not 10 hours, not the 12-hour days that agricultural workers would later endure, just 3 to 5 hours. And those hours were not monotonous, repetitive labor. They were varied, physical, social, and deeply engaging. No 2 days were exactly the same because the environment was constantly changing, demanding constant creative adaptation. Solins called hunter-gatherers the original affluent society, not because they had much, but because they wanted only what they had. So what did a typical day actually look like for an ancient human living 50,000 years ago? They woke up when the sun rose, not when an alarm told them to, and they slept when darkness fell. The first hours of the morning were typically spent in social activity, talking, grooming, tending children. Not rushing to a commute, not checking notifications, just being present with the people around them. Then usually mid-morning, a group would head out to hunt or gather, and this is where things get interesting. Hunting was not a daily activity. A single successful hunt could feed an entire group for several days. Gathering was more frequent, but also far more leisurely than we imagine. We take our time, yes, and tasting.
Studies show that Kungsan people of the Kalahari needed only 12 to 19 hours per week to gather all the food they needed.
That is less than a part-time job by modern standards, yet they ate more nutritiously than most people do today. So if ancient humans only worked 3 to 5 hours a day, what did they do with the other 10 to 12 hours? The answer begins with something that modern humans are desperately starved of: genuine rest. After rest came something that took up a surprisingly large portion of the ancient human day: socializing. After rest came something that took up a surprisingly large portion of the ancient human day: socializing. Ancient humans spent enormous amounts of time simply talking to each other, sharing stories, debating, laughing. Robin Dunbar, the anthropologist who discovered the famous Dunbar's number, found that gossip and social talk made up 65% of all human conversation across every culture studied. This was not idle chatter.
It was the original social network, keeping track of who could be trusted, who was generous, who was dangerous.
Social cohesion was survival. A group that communicated well hunted better, defended better, and thrived. A group that didn't fell apart and died.
But socializing was only part of how ancient humans filled their days because they also created.
The oldest known musical instrument is a flute carved from a vulture bone found in Germany dating back 40,000 years.
40,000 years ago, someone sat down and decided that making music was worth their time.
Not because it fed them, not because it protected them, but because it made life richer, deeper, more worth living.
The same is true of cave paintings found across Europe, Africa, and Asia, some dating back 65,000 years.
These were not accidents. They were deliberate, carefully composed, often requiring multiple sessions to complete. Someone 65,000 years ago looked at a cave wall and decided it needed to be more beautiful. This tells us something profound about what ancient humans valued. They valued beauty for its own sake. Beyond art and music, ancient humans played extensively, and this was not considered wasteful. The oldest known board game dates back 5,000 years, but evidence of competitive games goes back much further. Play is not a luxury for ancient humans. It was training disguised as fun. Every throwing game built hunting accuracy. Every running game built endurance. Every wrestling match built fighting ability. But perhaps the most surprising way ancient humans spent their time was in activities with no practical purpose at all. Ritual, ceremony, and spiritual practice consumed significant portions of the ancient human day. The oldest known religious site, Göbekli Tepe in Turkey, was built 12,000 years ago, requiring enormous coordinated human effort. Before agriculture, before cities, before writing, humans built a temple because meaning mattered more than convenience. This tells us something important. Ancient humans did not spend their days merely surviving. They spent them searching for meaning. Now, compare that to a typical modern day. Wake up to an alarm, commute in traffic, sit at a desk for 8 to 10 hours, doing largely the same task every day. Come home exhausted, eat something quick, stare at a screen, sleep too little, and repeat. Where is the music? Where is the art? Where is the deep conversation? Where is the genuine rest?
The ancient human who worked 3 hours and then spent the day making music, telling stories, and watching sunsets was not lazy.
They were doing exactly what the human brain and human body evolved to do. We are the ones doing it wrong. Agriculture, which began 10,000 years ago, changed everything, and not entirely for the better. Farming required working from sunrise to sunset every single day, regardless of weather, regardless of how you felt. Skeletal remains of early farmers show dramatically more joint degeneration, spine damage, and repetitive strain injuries than hunter-gatherers. The human body was not designed for 12 hours of bending over crops every single day. The Industrial Revolution made it worse, and then the digital revolution made it worse again. We went from 3 to 5 hours of meaningful, varied work to 8 to 10 hours of largely repetitive, often meaningless labor. And we wonder why anxiety, depression, and burnout are at all-time highs. The human brain evolved over millions of years to thrive on variety, connection, creativity, and rest, not on spreadsheets and status meetings. Ancient humans did not need to be told to make art, to tell stories, to rest, to play. These things were simply what humans did. The question is not what ancient humans did all day. The question is what happened to us and whether we can get any of it back. Ancient humans did not have jobs, they had lives, and somewhere between then and now, we got them confused.